I don't know how this situation is going to play out, but I do know how I will forever remember Darkman X. A pioneer never afraid of being himself, a master of his craft, a man of the people, one of the greatest to do it, period. This week on HipHopStocks, music as a whole is up. As projected, music done came alive in a major way. Seems I've been doing this for so long that I can somewhat see the future, but be prepared for a bull market. With the pandemic keeping people stationary, don't be surprised if some of these highly anticipated projects actually become a reality. Looking at you, Cole and Kendrick, if you didn't make an album over this pandemic, I think it's time for the fans to completely move on and forget this even was talked about. But what happened this week? Freddie Gibbs dropped a contender for Best Song of the Year to go along with Nipsey Hussle, Jay-Z, What It Feels Like, and Silk Sonic's Leave the Door Open. This along with the news that Gibbs' upcoming album will feature production from Pharrell, Madlib, Alchemist, Hit Boy, and more. That does worry me a little bit. It seems as though he could be rehashing the sounds that he's already dropped full projects for, but I have faith. Nothing else in the majors came out, but I did finally make the jump from DatPiff to SoundCloud on a limited basis. I will still listen to DatPiff daily, but it has become clear that the game has moved on, and day one I realized that I got some catching up to do. For example, day one I found an artist named Bobby Sessions. He isn't underground as he is signed to Def Jam, but clearly he is getting pushed limitedly, as he had songs on the Coming to America 2 soundtrack, the Static Selector album, but none were better than the Revolution Chapter 3, which you should all be checking out. He has the skills to be great. I have questions about the authenticity, but in terms of mainstream success, there's a chance of a home run here. I can see this stock triple and become the next big crit for Def Jam. Hopefully they won't short the stock like they did deliberately to crit. I have a long list of artists I need to catch up on, but the underground is alive and well. Just relocated to a competent commission-free trading app. I should have made the switch a long time ago, but I'm going to enjoy catching up on this caliber of artists. But let's go ahead and look at some of the biggest trending stocks this past week. DMX. At a time where being a successful drug dealer or wearing a shiny suit was the standard in the industry, DMX jolted on the scene. I was introduced to DMX like most. The Rough Rider anthem on The Basement with Big Tick. The raw energy with his delivery was unique and destined for greatness. Very few artists could actually create songs like this. A song that could get massive radio airplay but didn't sacrifice his character. The hype that surrounded this was unreal in Maryland. I could only imagine how it was in New York leading up to his debut album, Dark as Hell is Hot. A unique masterpiece that detailed the darkest of existences our community has, adding a much needed element to hip hop, the desperation that we experience that pushes us to the dark side. Where people glorified street life, DMX offered stories of losing himself, praying for forgiveness, and haunting tales that aren't unique to just New York that people relate to. Very few albums actually live up to the title instant classic, but this one does. An album that stands the test of time, changed the way that music was made, and is amazing in its entirety. The first concert that I've ever gone to was the Cash Money Rough Rider tour. This opened my eyes to the importance of putting on a performance to make an event memorable. I couldn't tell you about anyone else's performance that day, and they were some of my favorite MCs at the time, from the Hot Boys to the Big Timers to you name it, they were there. What I do remember though was DMX's entrance. He entered as only DMX could in a cage that went from beyond the nosebleeds to the stage, doing his signature bark the entire way, which intensified the crowd, leaving a memory that couldn't be matched. I've seen Jay-Z, Jeezy, 3 6 Mafia, Wiz Khalifa, and many more, but none were able to control the audience as DMX was. A man that is every bit as genuine as his lyrics, and sadly these lyrics depict the darkest side of life that people attempt to avoid. I don't know how this situation is going to play out, but I do know how I will forever remember Darkman X. A pioneer never afraid of being himself, a master of his craft, a man of the people, one of the greatest to do it, period. Steve Harvey is down for hosting the Isley Brothers versus the Earth, Wind & Fire. Much like many of you, my parents were raised on this music, making it a part of my own existence. This was very enjoyable. All these brothers are holding up well, still have their voices and not slowing down. One of my favorite parts of this event was when the DJ was mixing all the classic songs that sampled these legends. But why are we mentioning Steve Harvey? Because he is indicative of an entire generation of haters who slander music so he can give props to his own ego. Why can't you enjoy your moment and reminisce instead of throwing my music under the bus? My music that you clearly don't listen to and have no idea what you're talking about. Saying nonsense like how slow music doesn't get played in the club. From a guy who helps throw parties, I can tell you that's clearly false. And DJ D-Nice called him out on it. Serious question, Steve. Since you can talk about all of hip-hop, have you heard Silk Sonic? How's about DVSN? How's about Masago? You do know Childish Gambino, right? If you don't know, what makes you qualified to talk down on today's music? And I know this attitude isn't limited to Steve Harvey. It is merely an example of it. All you old people who can't work Wi-Fi connections want to tell us how things are supposed to work. All you old people who actually listen to the radio, not realizing that it has been as dead as your aspirations for years. All you old people who say that the youth wouldn't have been killed if they pulled up their pants, but have seen people get lynched in three-piece suits. You uninformed, walking contradictions who only like to rant about the legacy that you haven't had a hand in molding. With all your Family Feud money, how many artists have you helped establish this standard of music that you crave so badly, Steve? If you couldn't tell by now he's an idiot, let me ask you, how has his hit books helped an entire generation of women? Think Like a Man came out back in 2009 and they had mass success, and a movie did well too. Are women better off now or worse than they were back in 2009? He made a killing pandering to the woman's ego, and it's ruined an entire generation. Why do you think marriage is happening far less right now? Delist this stock, please. Nothing good ever comes from it. Kodak Black is down, as he very nearly survived an attempt on his life. After leaving an after party, he and his entourage was followed by multiple vehicles attempting to cut them off. Kodak Black security led them to an open area at McDonald's where shots rang out, hitting one of the members of Kodak security. As police look into it, allegedly, the fingers are already beginning to be pointed at producer Southside. There has been a rivalry between the two, if you want to call it that, and of course it's over a woman, Young Miami of the City Girls, who Kodak allegedly wanted to marry, saying in a jailhouse freestyle that he bought her a ring but she wanted 808's baby, saying that if he sees her he's going to hit her in the stomach. And much like any man, Southside ain't gonna let that slide, posting how he will be coming to Miami and they can fight. With that in mind, I don't believe Southside is behind this. He clearly doesn't take Kodak Black seriously, as no one should. It also didn't take a long-standing beef for XXXTentacion to get a similar treatment in Florida. This could be from any number of issues, which sickens me. People got all this smoke for a scumbag like Kodak, but Florida, what did you do about Zimmerman? This is why long ago I said I don't want to hear anything gangster coming out of Florida. It's just like the YG interview where if black people scuff your shoe, out comes the guns and violence. But when someone white steals 10 years of your life, then you turn around and turn to the Bible. Again, we have no clue what happened here, but sell off your stock of Kodak if you have any. You clearly didn't follow me before if you do, because this was a stock that we avoided from its inception. Stop letting people with no foresight manage your portfolio. And stocks to watch. For those who don't follow me on Twitter, @DownloadPass, that is where I've been debuting some new IPOs that could blow up from their penny stock status. This week, started strong with Bobby Sessions, a talented conscious rapper from Dallas. I haven't come across a skill set this quality since, say, Nick Grant. No, he isn't as potent lyrically as Nick Grant, but in the context of quality music, he deserves his recognition. See Revolution Chapter 3 if you don't believe me. Now, this stock does have its issues with authenticity, as he is already signed to Def Jam, and some of the stances that he takes is opposite of what he claims. But with the caliber of music he delivers, I can take that with a grain of salt. Easily can become the next Big Crit if he attains the promotion necessary to do so. And the second stock to watch for is Al Doms, a Virginia MC who is also conscious. See, art imitates life, and spanning before the pandemic, injustice and racism has been to the forefront of the American experience. Therefore, I expect many more artists from this genre to dominate in the coming years. This could be the music that finally pushes drill and trap music from the mainstream, but I doubt it. The labels prefer to promote destruction, but there's always a chance that people begin to seek out quality music on their own rather than being spoon-fed their crap. Only time will tell, but Al Doms is super talented, but a long ways away from mass success. Most are unable to outlast the stresses of life and upgrade their art continuously in this time period, but Al Doms will have his chance to show us all if he is as great as his music.